mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
I'm...
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from many and all corners of the nerd universe. We find out more about them and we take your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest this week is artist, Batman fan, Spider-Man fan. Is there anything this young man is not a fan of? I don't know, but we're about to find out. Please welcome Eli Ramos to the program. Eli, welcome in, man. How are you?
Thank you, man. Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Good to see you, and thank you so much for being here with us, kind sir. Now, if you have any questions for Eli as we go throughout the course of this program, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Our producers are going to be keeping an eye on it as we go throughout the course of the show. And if you are watching us live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. And don't forget to like and share this video with all 200 of your closest friends, because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote. I guarantee it. That being said, Eli, we're already laughing. We haven't even started. Eli, how were you introduced to the world of comics?
Wow. So it's kind of a funny story. I have long stories, so I'm going to try to shorten them down best I can. Growing up, believe it or not, comics were like taboo in my household. Yes, my parents now watch the movies, but back then, all this was evil per se. So I had two good friends, Marlon and Thurman, and I'm still friends with them this day. Marlon I knew since kinder, Thurman I knew since like second grade, and Marlon had like all like the comic books like of Spider-Man, and he had the Batman movies and Predator movies and Aliens, and Thurman was a big X-Men fan, and he had Nightmare Before Christmas and all those different things. So what I used to do was, instead of doing homework, I would go to their houses and say I'm studying, but actually read the comics, watch the movies. Marlon gave me like the Death of Spider-Man. I think it was Amazing Something. It's Thanos holding Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like dead in his hand. I still have that comic. And Thurman gave me the X-Men wedding of Jean and Cyclops, and that was it. Like once I got into comics, 'cause believe it or not, when I was younger, I didn't like. Now, my parents were already fighting me for not watching this stuff or cartoons and stuff, but also I didn't really like the super, because I'm 41, believe it or not, so
really? You don't look a day over 25.
Well, thanks. I try. So, drink a lot of water, kids. But hugs, not drugs. Remember that one?
I think so, yeah.
but yeah, I got into this stuff pretty early, and it was like kind of like my go-to. It was my peace of mind. It was my refuge. Batman the animated series got me into art and drawing character. Like I could draw a Bugs Bunny with my eyes closed. Literally, I could draw a Bugs Bunny. I love drawing cartoons. I was always into cartoons though. My parents were kind of 50-50 on that. So I was into cartoons, but comic books I got into when I was like 12 or 13, because like I was saying, I wasn't really into the cartoons earlier than Batman the animated series, or X-Men or Spider-Man, because superpowers, like Batman would throw like a banana at Joker and tie him up, and there would never be any punches. Like I'm a kid, and I'm like, I want to see this guy like punch Joker in his like turkey neck, and it's like when the animated series happened, that was it. That was my gateway drug, and after my boys got me interested, that was it. The animated series just opened those floodgates, and I just got like honed in. I still love cartoons too.
Sure.
But comics, I still collect. Shoot, I work part-time at a comic shop in Newark. So I help out over there.
I was going to say, that's even better to keep up your nerd cred.
Oh yeah. He Jose gets a lot of my money. He's a fireman too, so he's a great guy. Yeah.
Rock on, man. Rock on. Goodness gracious. What a heck of a way to kick this show off. With that being said, do you have any favorite comic book writers or artists that stand out to you, whether they be past or present?
Favorite comic book. My favorite artist, I think, is Bruce Timm. His style of animated series over there. There we go, right there.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
the Bruce Timms, the Paul Dini's. Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely he turned anatomy simple yet effective. If you look at his work, when I teach my students, I teach them how to draw like anatomy, but with those simple lines. And you could always build on it. And that was what I started with my anatomy too, was from watching those cartoons and reading a book. I have the Art of the Animated Series. I took that with me everywhere. I was 19. I had it in my book bag. I took it everywhere with me. That book's a little beat up. I have two, but another Jim Lee. Even though he kind of does look like the animated series a little bit. If you look at my shirt here, that's Jim Lee's work. The gentleman over here that did this Batman here, this painting is based on all my favorite Batman, by the way. Ooh. This one here is Kelly Jones. He created this Batman that had like this very gothic, demonic look with the ears sticking up, and he had these claws, and he always said he wanted Batman to look like the old 1930s, like black and white creature features and all that stuff. And
like Nosferatu. Yeah.
Yes. And like he did Swamp Thing, the same artist. So Kelly Jones is amazing. Alex Ross is amazing too. His work is like beautiful. It's so spot on and realistic, and he takes his time. It's amazing. Frank Miller's another great one. People may not like his blocky style, but his style and the storytelling are so like intertwined. Like Sin City is one of my favorite comics and one of my favorite comic book films of all time. Like Frank Miller, his storytelling and that gritty. Dark Knight Returns. Come on, like, I don't know if you've seen the animated version. Like the comic's great. Oh my God, yeah, I watched that like the 4 hours straight. Like I could watch it tomorrow. I loved it so much. Especially the Joker scene blew my mind. It was so violent.
It was definitely brutal. It was definitely brutal for that film in the time. Gosh. By the way, Louis chimes in. He says, "What about McFarlane though?"
Oh, that's the captain from my job. What's up, Louis? Yeah, Louis Cologne. Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, McFarlane's great. He's great too. Like his Batman, when he drew the painting, the cover with him holding the girl with the cape. Like, Todd McFarlane had these capes that used to they were like these forces of nature that reach around everywhere, What's up, Lou?
Also saying what up to everybody. There you go. Fantastic stuff. No, some good names there. Do not get me wrong. And yes, I've seen, what is it, the Dark Knight Returns Deluxe Edition, where it's a 3-hour cut of the film. It's all 3 hours of it, puts it smashed together. It's not part one and part two. It's actually seamless put together. I have it on DVD. That's a heck of a film. That's the most
you got to get it on Blu-ray.
I do have it on Blu-ray. I do. Or no, I do have it. I have it on Blu-ray and DVD. I have it on both formats. I just have it on multiple formats. Let's just put it to you that way. That's what happens when you went to a place called Movie Stop, when Movie Stop was a thing, and you could get all these movies on DVD and Blu-ray for discounted prices. So
you must have a lot like I do. I have a whole closet full of films and cartoons, and I buy even bootleg cartoons that they don't produce because they can't. You know what I mean? Like, because the companies aren't going to let it. So don't worry. I do buy the real stuff too. But I was going
to say certain studios don't have certain rights, so I get it.
Yeah. So I collect anything. Sometimes if I find like a con that has those shows and a show I never seen, I'll pick it up. Like I just got into this cartoon called Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys from 1997. I don't remember the show. I watched it. I'm a big gorilla fan, probably because I'm shaped like one. But at the same time, like the cartoon was great. So it's kind of cool. Like I kind of got into I still like dabble into whatever I can find, and cartoons and DVDs. Too many. Not enough time, bro.
No, there's only so many hours in the day. And there's nothing wrong with collecting things on physical media, whether they be Blu-ray, DVD, or otherwise, because if Skynet or Cyberdyne ever takes over, your streaming services are going to be nil. So
streaming services, we're renting them technically. You're not owning them. Once you kill, you could ask anyone young in my life, I tell them, buy the hard copy so you have it. Nothing wrong with streaming. I own them all. But do I own them? No, of course not. Because they want to pull a movie, they can pull a movie. You have it on hard copy, you can't. No one can get rid of it. It's yours, as long as you don't scratch it or have the kid throw it or the dog bite or anything like that. But like there was an episode of Tailspin on Disney Plus, and I remembered it when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite episodes. It was called Pizza Pie in the Sky, and the monkey Louie sees like a hallucination of a guy turning into a fish, and we're watching it on Disney Plus. Me and my brother, and we're like, wait. They cut that scene out. I'm like, why? Something so trivial and something so small was cut out. Imagine what they're cutting out. Sorry, I'm getting on my
No, it's okay. And like I said before, there's nothing wrong with collecting things on physical media, whether they be a DVD or a Blu-ray or a 4K box set. Nothing wrong with that. Once again, we're talking with artist Eli Ramos here on this episode of And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this video with all of your friends because they're going to like the way they'll be after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote, we guarantee. If you have any questions for Eli, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. We would love to hear from you. More people are chiming in here. Let's see. Louis says, I still have all my Gumby episodes on DVD.
I don't think I have that one. I know it's on Amazon, but I don't have Gumby. But I remember. Is it like the original or the ones from the 80s? Because there was ones that came out, I think, when my parents were young, and then they revamped it when we were young. So there are two different sets of Gumbies out there.
It's a good point. I'm not 100% sure. If someone has the answer to that, let us know in the comments or in the chat. Whether you are watching this live on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. Eli, what would you say are some of your favorite comic book movies or TV series, past or present?
All right, so this is going to be 3 hours.
Well, try not to do that, but...
Favorite, you could ask Louis. I could talk forever. Favorite, I would say favorite comic book movie of all time is Into the Spider-Verse.
Wow.
Yeah. I saw that movie once a month while it was still going. When I first watched that movie, and I'm a big Batman fan, Batman Begins is one of my favorite, Mask of the Phantasm. But Into the Spider-Verse was such a heartfelt film that, like you look at it, you can understand why like the characters were so beloved. Like all the characters are great in that, right? I related to the 12-year-old Miles, and I related to the kind of pudgy 40-year-old Spider-Man that was kind of trying to figure out what's going on with his life, and so like that alone, that storytelling element of young and old, maybe because I'm a teacher, maybe because I'm like a father, you know what I mean? I don't know, but like there was something about that dynamic. If you add the storyline is really dumb, right? Big guy wants to get his family back from the dead from another universe, whatever. If you look at the old comic books, right, when you start looking back into like the old 1980s and 70s and so forth, they had really stupid storylines. Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus wants to destroy the world with a detonator or whatever. But the story's more about Peter Parker trying to visit his aunt in the hospital and how he's stressing that he may not make it on time. It's that heart that brings you into that dumb storyline, but you don't care anymore because it literally takes beyond belief where you're like, these characters are so relatable and so lovable and so, so believable in a way that the whole storyline in the background just doesn't matter. And Spider-Verse, I believe, when I saw it, like I felt it. When I left that theater, I felt like a little kid. And at the same time, I felt like, I was reminded why I love comic books and cartoons and why I got into this business a long time ago, why I'm still there. Another movie, Sin City was a great one too. It's kind of funny. They're two different, from really, really child and fun to really, really dark. Sin City, I believe, was like one of those great comic book films, black and white. It had so much grit and visceral. It was violent, and to me, it was relatable on a lot of levels because like that was kind of like how I felt, how life is and how like, how people can be and how, I would be as a cop, or how like Marv was one of my favorite characters. Then of course the Batman films, 300 was another great one. As far as shows, two tops. That's why I'm cutting the movies off because I want to get into the shows. Two tops would be, we talked about it off stage. Batman the Animated Series, again, was a show that had so much heart, and literally they changed the whole Batman like on his head. When it came to like Mr. Freeze, you had this guy in the comics that was just stealing diamonds. All he was doing, or saying stupid lines in 66. Now I love Batman 66 for what it is. I really do. I have respect for that. That's why he's on my painting there. But at the same time, that's all Mr. Freeze was. You put that storyline of him losing his wife. If you watch it, it's heartbreaking. Like the guy pulls the plug and his wife is frozen, and because he's using company dollars and company time to save his wife, the boss pulls the plug, kills his wife, even though they bring her back. Spoiler. But for that moment, then he ends up becoming that monster. But at the same time, you relate. I remember watching that episode and I'm like, is he really the bad guy? Is Batman the bad guy for stopping him? I mean, this guy did kill his wife. Stories like that, or Almost Got Him was one of my favorites too. The bad guys playing cards, just chatting with one another, like, and they would like talk about how they almost killed Batman. The animation was superb, especially the first couple seasons. Last seasons were okay, but like there was something about that show that spoke to me as a kid because I was like, I wanted to learn more about Batman. It got me so interested into the comics and the whole mythos of Batman. I needed more. Like it turned me into like a, you know, Batman addict, you know, where's the more Batman? You know, like I needed more. Then second would be Gargoyles, that show made by Disney. That if it wasn't for Batman, the animated series, Gargoyles wouldn't have existed because Disney wanted to do something more adult-like for TV because Warner Brothers and Channel 11 was Channel 5 was killing it with Batman the Animated Series. So Channel 11, Disney, ABC, whatever, wanted to change it. They wanted to change it up. So they were willing to greenlight this really amazing, spectacular. Like I have Gargoyles in my office too. Like seriously, like the toys and NECA toys. Don't get me started on toys. But anyway, like that cartoon, you had this whole story about these characters. And growing up as an artist, for every kid deals with this. It's not just an artist, but you kind of have that feeling you're ostracized, right? So it's like you and your little group of people, you feel like nobody trusts you, nobody likes you for whatever, from the way you dress, the way you look, the way you act. I was always that kid in the back. I had my one or two friends when I was younger. So Gargoyles was that show I related to because it was like we weren't bad kids. It's just people didn't give us a chance, or so we felt that as a kid. So with Gargoyles, you had them looking for kindred spirits, right? They were trying to find their way in this world. And that show taught about tolerance. It taught about gun control. It taught about all these different types of things that it probably wouldn't touch on now. Characters died in it. Batman too. So as you can see, when I was growing up, this is between the ages of 12 and 15. Like that was the age where those two shows, remember I got tons of other shows, but those two are my favorites because they weren't talking down to us kids. You know, where kids could still like it, it could still speak to adults. You watch it now, there'll be episodes in there that'll blow your mind, you know? So those are my two favorites. And Spider-Verse is my favorite movie, yeah. I said it live in front of everyone. They're like, Batman!
It's okay. I mean, what else we said? Louis says, true. And in regards to your toy collection, yeah, he does. He has figures or toys or something. He was probably referring to the toys, whatever it was. So nice work, Louis, calling out your friend on certain things and throwing him under a bus. Like that doesn't
That's all right. Like Goliath, I pick up the bus.
Exactly. Whatever works, right? With that being said, when did you decide to become an artist?
When I was 5, my mom used to always like have me push a pencil around and draw, like doodle a little bit. And here's a crazy story. It's the first time I ever said it, like to everyone. It would sound crazy, but I swear on my right hand that I draw with and all the artwork. I remember when I was 5 years old, my dad, he can't draw worth a damn. Like he would draw like the Saint. Remember the Saint is like this little stick figure guy, like sitting like that, and he has a little circle on his head. It's from an old TV show. I never watched it.
Okay.
All right. Val Kilmer actually did a movie on it in the 90s.
He did.
It wasn't
that. No, it wasn't. It was him and Elizabeth Shue. Yeah.
Shue. Yes. So like it was based on the old series. So my dad had like this little white piece of paper, and he started drawing Sesame Street characters from his imagination. Like literally, like drawing Sesame Street characters. And I remember it clear as day. My mom remembers. I thought it was like a dream, but my mom remembers this day. He never drew again. My dad can't draw. He can't draw. And I took that. And when I got older, I took it as a sign that, you know what? Now I realize it. Maybe in the back of my mind it was there, because as an artist, I'm not going to lie to you, you get ostracized, you get ridiculed. Now I don't care. But when you're younger, it sucks because not everyone creates. Some people think it's really cool. Some people think it's really stupid. You read comics, you're a moron. Yes, kids, I got bullied back in the day for reading comic books when I was a kid. But there was something about holding on to it that I felt it was a necessity. It was like, if I let it go, I would mentally, emotionally, or physically die. I know it sounds dramatic, but at least not the last one, but definitely the first two. So that was it. I think when in my youth, it was just something about art, comics, animation, cartoons that kept me pushing. And now the beautiful thing is I use it in my classes. So I'm grateful I never let it go, no matter who said to drop it. You know what I mean? So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I could totally understand that. What would you say are some of the rewards about being an artist?
You never bored? I don't remember what it's like to be bored. I really don't. Like, if people are like, you gotta rest. I'm like, I forget to eat. Ask anyone in my house. The rewards is it's something awesome. Like I'm doing animation now on Procreate, and there's something I'll spend 3 hours drawing the same character just with different movements, and there's something about bringing that to life and watching it over and over, even if it's for 2 seconds. I want to do a longer piece at some point, but I'm kind of learning. But there's just something rewarding about seeing you're creating something from nothing. I'm not going to compare myself to God, but if you think about it, right, he created something out of nothing, right? So it's like when you're an artist, and it could also be making cake or, like people that make food, because you're creating a meal out of nothing, or making clothes. I mean, someone's knitting or making a design, that's still something out of nothing. But there's a weird, like, fulfilling feeling of just taking what's up here, and it needs to come out. Any artist, and I've heard it on your show from a lot of the writers, especially when I have, like today, I cranked out 5 horror paintings, right? Because I got on Saturday, I got like a Halloween event. So literally, I was telling myself, you got to do 5. I only did 4, but at the same time, like I had to crank them out before 8 o'clock. Sat on the floor, was like, I just started painting my butt off, And looking at the paintings, if you want, I'll show them to you later. Looking at the paintings, there's something fulfilling about, and I'm going to give it away, or either give it away or sell it. So I'm not going to keep it, but looking at it for that moment and taking a photo of it, putting it on Facebook, on my social media, for my marketing, whatever. I don't know. It's a rewarding feeling. It really is. It's like, I don't know. I can't explain it. It's weird.
It's okay. No, it's okay. There's no right or wrong way to go about it, whatever your process may be and what you have to do, whether it's a deadline or not. And I believe what you're referring to this weekend is what they call a comic shop's Halloween Comic Fest.
Yep.
So that's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. Make sure you support your local comic shops out there, folks, just so you know.
Fortress of Solitude, 52 University Avenue, Newark, New Jersey. Shameless plug.
There you go. There it is right there. We'll probably hear a little bit more about that as we go throughout the course of this show. But on the flip side of the coin here, though, Eli, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges about being an artist?
The challenge I had to get over was perfectionism. Perfectionism, and I ain't gonna lie, out of the 4 paintings I did, there's one I really don't like. And before I would like, I don't have too many I don't like, but it'll stay up here, and I'll be like, I gotta get rid of it. But perfectionism, I think, when I was younger, stopped me from a lot, because perfectionism makes fear, right? So I tell my students, right, practice makes what? Practice makes what, Ryan?
Oh, sorry. I thought I'm not sure where he was going with it. Practice makes perfect.
You know what's funny about perfect? Perfect is an illusion.
There's no such thing as perfection.
So I said practice makes progress, and the more you progress, the better you get, because we're always going to be learning, always going to be progressing. I learned that too. So when it comes to my artwork, I have learned to just take it as it is. And I noticed once I let go of that perfection, my work came out better. And then it might be some things I don't like, and that's okay, because out of the 100 paintings, 2 I don't dig? The one behind me, the Batman one, I would never sell. Like, I take that to convention. That's one of my favorite pieces. That took me 2 months because I took my time on it. I wanted to be perfect. And that's all me. Those are all my favorite Batmans. So like that one, I take to conventions. If you go see, when you saw me at Retro, it was probably behind me. So it's like,
I think I did see it there. Yeah.
The hardest part is just not being so hard on yourself, knowing that comparison too. I never had that problem. I was never a jealous person by nature. I always loved to look at like Jim Lee or I would never be like, oh man, I wish I could draw like that, man. No, it's like, you know what? I can learn from their styles and just build my own. So I have thousands of books in my house, like of old comic book stuff, and from comic books to art of books. So I call myself Art of Eli because I loved art of books, art of this movie, art of that cartoon. And there was something about like just looking at their work. So I get inspired. I never get discouraged. But what I notice from a lot of artists is like they compare. Like when a kid tells me, I can't draw like you, I'm like, how old are you? 12. You know how old I am? I'm 41. That's a big gap. I tell you what, though, you keep practicing. By the time you're 41, whatever your idea of better, you'll probably be a lot more ahead than I am. But it's not a race, And that's what artists got to learn. But I beat that. So that's the hardest part. And not enough time in a day, but that's everything. So
Yeah, no. I hear what you're saying. Right on, right on. Once again, we're talking with artist Eli Ramos here in this episode of Van Dyke Quote. Make sure you like and share this video with all 400 of your closest friends. And if you have any questions for Eli, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Whether you are watching us live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. We do greatly appreciate it. With that being said, you mentioned something about being a firefighter and an art instructor. Now, taking this one step at a time here, how long have you been a firefighter?
Oh, wow. I've been fireman for Jersey City since 2011. So this is what, going maybe on my 11th, going on 12 years now. Yeah.
I got the man. Well, thank you for your service and doing what you do to serve the community.
We just do our job, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, it's great. No, it's great stuff. Don't get me wrong. Now, you mentioned something about being an art instructor. When did that start? How long have you been doing it? What's that all about?
So, oddly enough, it's another interesting story that I'll try to cut down. I never thought about teaching when I was young, but even though I pretty much have my brothers, the 3 younger brothers, so it's like the Turtles. There's 4 of us, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, we all have our favorite.
I was gonna say 3's company. It's 4's company because we got 4. So.
Yeah, we got 4. 1, 2, 3,
4 baby turtles. That was us.
Yep. That's it. Yep. So,
I'm sorry. I love those movies.
Me too. I'm a big turtle fan.
Baby, dude. I've been watching the first film on repeat on streaming services for the last couple weeks.
I literally have a bag of 1980s turtles.
Oh, do you?
Right.
Well, as he's doing that, my goodness, let us know your favorite fandoms in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Whether it's Ninja Turtles or something involving Marvel, DC, maybe Dark Horse Comics, IDW. What's another one? Vertigo. That's another one. Thank you.
Yep.
Image, Boom Comics.
Independent ones.
Yeah. No, I'm just letting people know that they want to chime in on this. Let us know in the chat.
So, I'm also an avid collector, right? So I have
don't get me wrong. I have my fair share of action figures too.
I call them, these are action figures, but they're also toys. These are from my childhood. These are my 2 favorite Ninja Turtles figures, other than Leonardo. He's my favorite turtle of all time.
I love Leo.
You know, I have their accessories, but Ace Duck and Wingnut. So, I have a friend of mine. He sells stuff on Whatnot. At his Eddie Easy Does It. He sells all types of old toys. So I buy old stuff from him. But I have so many action figures from my childhood. I don't know if you ever seen this one. This is a good one.
I love this.
This one.
We're getting into show and tell here on this portion of Van Dyke Quote. I'm sure you really dig this.
I like this one very much. This is called the Toilet Taxi.
Oh my gosh, I never heard of this.
I never heard of it neither until I saw a drawing. I was looking at some old Ninja Turtle books, and they had artwork. So literally, this was Leonardo's too. So I had to get it. I got it from my boy Eddie. So the picture, if you look it up online, is Leo sitting on. We all love caca jokes, right? So sitting on the toilet, and literally, it's connected to this water gun. I'll leave it there.
Gosh. What the heck is going on?
So when I saw this, I told my boy, literally, I was helping him do his show on Whatnot, and he gave this to me as payment, and I was happy as a turtle, and you know what. So I got the Technodrome. I got all the NECA stuff, the cartoon NECA figures. I got another friend of mine named Mark. He's a co-owner of a pizzeria by us. Yes, a pizzeria. Me and my brother did a Ninja Turtle painting for him for the store. I'll send it to you. It's hung up on the store. It's got all the characters eating pizza. It's got our favorite characters. So yeah, on that note, that's pretty much. Oh, there he is. Look, my boy,
Leo.
That's my favorite one. And I bet you he's my.
So that's the plan from our great leader, huh? Just sitting on our butts. I never said I was your great leader. Well, you still act like it sometimes. Anyhow, I'm sorry. I can go on a Ninja Turtles binge or a tangent.
We got to do a Ninja Turtle show one day.
You and I should sit down and do some Ninja Turtle binge watching. That's what we should do. But of the movies or the show, whatever. I don't know. I didn't watch any of the shows other than the original '80s show, and then I watched the live-action 3 films from 1990, 1991, and 1993. Yes, there was a third one, folks. Even though a lot of people throw Turtles in Time under the bus, it's still the last chapter of that trilogy. Okay, so there
was a 4th one too. TMNT,
it was, but that's not connected to the original 3 live action films. It is.
Well, Watch towards the end when
I might have to go back and look at this because I have the movies on DVD, all 4 of them, so I have to go back and watch that.
Splinter takes the helmet of Raphael to put it away, and then Michelangelo gives his little turtle head. You'll see the thing that sent them in time on the wall there.
Oh, the scepter. The scepter.
Shredder's helmet crushed.
Whoa.
And you'll see the broken mutagen canister from part 2.
From TGRI.
Yes, sir.
The interview today. I knew it. I knew that there was something else going on with those guys. Yes, and we must know what. For the contents of this canister were not unique. Anyway, I could go all day on Turtles, baby.
I can tell.
That's neither here nor there because Louis Colin says practice makes improvement in regards to what you were saying earlier about practicing your work, honing your craft. And then he also goes on to say, I love the old Toxic Crusader toys.
Oh, I remember those.
That's going
I remember
back.
the cartoon show.
Yeah, that's going
and
back.
How do you make? Here's the crazy thing. How do you make a cartoon show from like a super R-rated or kind of X-rated, like low budget? Yes, kids, those were the 90s and 80s for you.
Does anyone else know the answer to this question? Because I sure as heck don't.
But going back to the original question before I pulled out all my toys.
No, it's okay.
I wasn't ever thinking about teaching, let's say, and then
yes, becoming an art instructor is what we were discussing.
Yes, I remembered, which is rare because my brain is like my ADD kicks in and I could forget. But so growing up with my brothers who were Turtle fans, I was kind of always the oldest one. I am the oldest one. I was always the one that kind of took charge. The one that you could ask my family. I'm still like kind of that one. Still Leonardo. So then growing up, I noticed kids used to come, like when my brothers come to the house and I would teach them how to draw or talk to them about life and counsel them, I guess, whatever a 16-year-old can counsel a kid. But I noticed too when my friends were, doing, teenage boy stuff, drinking, smoking, the other stuff. There was something that made me feel more at home just being around the young folks, trying to get them to not feel the pain I felt as a kid or trying to guide them from the mistakes I felt I made or the issues I was dealing with. That was my therapy. Fast forward years later, 2012. Not that I didn't still talk to kids and all that. I always did, but I was painting a mural at, if Floyd's watching, there was a comic shop in Jersey City called FJB's Comics and Games, and there was this vacant wall, and the wall looked really gross, right, Floyd, if he's watching. The wall looked like you didn't even know it was a comic shop. Long story short, I painted the mural for free. I was like, you know what? Why not? You couldn't be at the time. You didn't have money for it. I was like, what does that got to do with teaching? You'll hear in a minute. So painting the mural about a year. There's pictures of it online. You guys can check it on my Insta, whatever.
Is this the one you're referring to?
Yes, sir. That's it. Wow. Yeah. And also from my people that are really close to me painted on that wall, like my brother. Yeah. My brother Matthew. Shout out to Matthew. So yeah, so we did that, and believe it or not, I was painting. You see Leonardo down there by April.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
I was painting him, and the guy comes out, one of the guys, and he tells me, "Hey, Eli, there's 2 ladies looking for an artist or whatever from Hoboken." I'm like, "Really?" So I'm like, he goes, "Well, I gave them your card, see what happens." I'm like, "All right, cool, whatever." Next thing you know, they call me while I'm painting, and I talk to the lady, and I tell the lady, "Hey, I'm a fireman already for about, I think, a year at that time, because I've been a teacher for about 11 years now, 10, 11 years." So the lady's like, I tell her name's Patty, and I tell her, "Well, I can't work every Friday because I'm a firefighter." And she goes, "Oh, no problem." She goes, "I'm married to a fireman. You guys got 72 hours off. We'll work with you." That opened the door. My first year, I noticed the kids were coming back. One of the ladies told me, they're coming back for you. And I really didn't understand what that meant. You have kids coming to your same class for 4 or 5 years. I could barely stand my teacher for 1, let alone 5, and pay for it. You know what I mean? So there was something special. And I realize now, after multiple schools, I work at like 4 or 5 schools now. I do private lessons as well. If a parent's like, hey, can you come to my house? I've been in the back of McDonald's with a family draw, or so it kind of like just happened. My grandma, I think I have her painting up there somewhere. God rest her soul. She passed away when I was 15. She was a great teacher. She taught children from oh, hope I didn't do nothing. Oh, I gotta put this back. Sorry. She taught kids from all types of grades, from like kindergarten to kids with learning disabilities. And in a way, sorry, the clutter there. In a way, I kind of followed in her footsteps without knowing, So it just kind of all happened. Like I'm a firm believer in God, honestly, now, because the way I see my life is almost like a movie. Like things happen that, like it just don't make sense, because done so much now, and I'm working with troubled youth now, and I'm working with like kids with autism now.
Hey.
And I think about it, I'm like, who am I? I'm not anyone special. I'm just me, and I realize that it's just who I am, it's not because I'm better or smarter, or I bring that to the table, and here I am. I'm blessed. I really am.
Yeah, you've done a lot of incredible things. Once again, we're talking with artist and art instructor Eli Ramos here on this episode of And I Quote. Make sure you like and share this video with all of your closest friends, because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote. I guarantee it. If you have any questions for Eli, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. If you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being with us. We do greatly appreciate it. We've seen some of your works, whether it be the Batman mural or the painting, the situation with the comic book store that you painted, and all that kind of jazz. One thing I did want to bring up here, and we'll address this individual's question in a moment. This one here, how long did it take you to put this together with, I believe it's a police officer and a fireman standing atop a building that is an homage to something known as I'm Batman, the animated series?
That is funny. That's an homage also to me and my brother Matthew.
Nice.
My baby brother, who has a baby now, shout out to my little Finny, my nephew. My brother, he became a cop a year after I became a fireman. Oh, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm proud of him. I really am. So this piece came out from a friend of ours. He wanted me to do a Batman the Animated Series inspired piece of a cop and a fireman on he was a retired police officer named John. And I did like a painting for him. And then the painting, came out good. But then I was like, you know what? Let me do it more in the style of the animated series. So I decided to take that print. Actually, I gave out at like a couple of fireman events and picnics and stuff to the kids. Like I love that piece, and it was just like the ending when Batman stands on the roof, and even the way, because the cops would wear like the long jackets in the rain. Firemen, we get dirty either way. No time for jackets other than that. The turnout, right, Louis? But that piece meant a lot to me, because it also kind of looks like us too a little bit. It's kind of shaped like us.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's great stuff, man. I like what you've done. This is great pieces of work. It's fantastic. Do not get me wrong. Now, Louis chimed in. He has a question for you. He says, question, what was the feeling or moments you realized that other people enjoyed your artwork, Eli?
So I noticed I actually had this story recent. I knew, like, I had friends. I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's awesome, and I loved it. Like, but they were my friends, like I didn't, I guess, and my mom would always say, it's good, son. You're really good at it. But I guess when I really noticed art was going to be like something big, it was going to be funny. So in elementary school, there was a typing class. I'm horrible at it to this day. I'm still horrible at it. And the lady was really mean. And her name was Miss Holbow. Like, she was really mean. But anyway, believe it or not, she used to give us breaks when we would, like, take the test or whatever. And I would just wing it, whatever, like there were certain classes where I worked hard at, and there was some classes where I don't believe in dumb and smart. I believe there's stuff we work at naturally, and there's stuff that we just don't connect with. And that's okay. We can't be great at everything. I realize that now. But one day I'm drawing with the mouse, kids. Remember the mouse?
Yeah.
So I was drawing with the mouse on Paint on the computer, and I drew like pixeled Goliath and pixeled Batman and Catwoman and pixeled Scooby-Doo. I might still have them too upstairs somewhere. And the lady was so blown away. She was like, "Oh my God, you can draw with the mouse?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, long story short, she was like, "I want you to make posters for me and I'll give you A's." I had another teacher in high school. She was mean too in the beginning. I had the issue with my scheduling. Long story. It was literature. I was great at literature. I love reading, but this lady was just really nasty with me. And one day, her name was she sounded like Barbarian. I just saw that movie too, Barbara or something like that. I don't know, Barbarous or whatever. And I remember it was time to do To Kill a Mockingbird project. She goes, "Do whatever you want. It can be whatever." I'm like, "Okay." So I did a poster board. I did the characters. I looked up some old Spider-Man comics, and I put the main character might look like like a nicer J. Jonah Jameson, or Peter Parker would be this person, or younger versions. And I gave her the poster, and she loved it to a point that animosity gone. She hung it up, and that thing was hanging up there for years. And I think when the teachers started getting me out of trouble, number one. But I think when the teachers started digging it, I think that was when I realized, I got something here. And it's not just to get over. The Bible says, God, the Lord will make a way for you with your talents, right? He'll make room for you. Let your talents make room for you. So I see that. And honestly, I think that was when it started clicking with me, because I was always drawing, but I guess I was taking it for granted. And honestly, on a side note, as I tell my students, whatever you love, just do it. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about who's saying what, as long as there's nothing bad. Because we know what's bad. Like, our core consciousness knows this is good for me, this is bad for me. I don't think we even got to go there. But if you do what you love, you never know. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm grateful that, like, the more when I gave up on art for maybe a year, that was the lowest point of my life, because I just lost my identity kind of. It was a pretty messy year. That was when I was 20. I was 24, 25 years old. And maybe not a year, maybe 6 months. And that was long enough. But I realized that, when I let it go, that was another point where I realized, art is important. It's me. Making no apologies.
Absolutely. Rock on, man. Rock on. Any other special memories for you from being at conventions or other events, whether you were there as a vendor or whether you are there as an attendee, spring to mind?
So, wow. I used to go to but I know you're not from New York. They used to have this hotel, they had Big Apple Con in New York. They used to have it in a hotel. It was for years. Mm-hmm. And I guess they were trying to be like New York San Diego Comic Con. Sure. I went there quite a bit. It was cool. You got to talk to artists and stuff. I was a shy little, so-and-so at the time. So I was afraid to talk to anyone. Then you fast forward years later, 2008, I'm in my late 20s. Now, Iron Man came out. New York Comic Con's getting bigger. And then I got dressed up as Batman for 2012 San Diego Comic Con with my sister-in-law, Tiff. She was dressed as, I think, 66 Catwoman. And my brother actually, Matthew, was dressed as Nightwing, but he was in the police academy at the time. So he only was able to make it one day with us. It was supposed to be the three of us, but he made it. But he did. I was able to fly him in because I was working for the airport at the time. So I was looking at people selling, and I'm like, you know what? My next step is being a vendor. Mm-hmm. So now I've been doing vending since 2014. Like I was telling you earlier, I decided to, at the end of every convention, the actors or the voice actors, if I have artwork of their characters, because what I do, is Hellboy, so I'll do like, a bunch of Hellboy. Ron Perlman's going to be there, or Kevin Conroy. I do Batman animated series stuff. I decided to give paintings to the actors, and I did that for a couple of years now. The Philly Expo, where you were, I gave it to Spike from Cowboy Bebop, Steve Bloom. Great guy. He was a sweetheart. He was a great guy. We shared some stories, even a heartbreaking one, personal to me. And we had a good talk, and I gave him a painting of Spike with the headphones and the gun, and he loved it. You know, I got a picture with him. We had the mask because of COVID. You know, then I spoke to James Marsters and I took Gabby with me. I call Gabby my oldest. She's my oldest. Me and her went to talk to him. He was talking about purpose and how he was afraid when he first started doing conventions because he was like, you know, he's Spike from Buffy, if y'all don't know, and that's the blonde vampire. Yes, I'm a Buffy fan.
I do know him as that character, but I know him. For me, I know him best as Brainiac from Smallville.
That's right, he was Brainiac. Oh shoot! And then he was in the Runaways. He was one of the dads, the bad people. But he was such a great guy. Like I saw him.
He's very nice.
I saw, you know what? So there was a, you know, like they had a couple of people in front of us, whatever. And I saw him take the guy's cell phone. You know, the guy's talking to his wife on the cell phone. Look, sure. It's Spike. And she's getting her signature. You know, he's getting, you know, signature for her. And he goes, can I get the phone? So he takes the phone and he got the mask on. And he's like, hey, how you doing? How's everything? And then she's like, you know, she's talking to him. Hey, he goes, tell you what. He goes, you want me to remove this so we can talk? And he goes, can I borrow your phone for a couple minutes? The guy's like, yeah. I see the guy go to the back. He takes off his mask and he's talking to this lady like he knew her.
Man.
Bro, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, thinking about it brings, like, tears in my eyes almost. And then he gave the phone back. He put the mask back on. He's talking to me and Gabby. And I told him, I said, I would, you know, I had a painting for him, but I wanted to just say it. I'm like, I want to say thank you for that. And he's like, I'm like, for what you just did, like showing this lady kindness, like you made this lady's day. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's at work, but she's going to always remember that she spoke to Spike, you know? And he goes to tell us that when he first started, he didn't feel worth it. He didn't feel worthy. He had, and he was okay with like telling us this. And he was saying how he struggled with feeling worth it. And he realized when so many people care about this show and him as an actor and they want to see him, he goes, I learned to come out of my shell. And he goes, I learned to just kind of just be myself. And he goes, I appreciate everyone. I gave him the painting. He loved it. And then recently I went to RetroCon. They had Thundercats at Lionel. Shout out to him. He was great. I gave him a painting. His wife's a teacher too. I made her cry. Not to say anything mean. I was just like, you know, thank you for your service. You're a teacher. You high schoolers too. 7th grade. I've taught everywhere from 5-year-olds to talks in college. 7th and 8th could be a little tricky, you know, hormones and all that good stuff. And I told her, I said, God bless you. Like, that's amazing. Like, you're my hero. And, you know, and she's an older lady. Started crying. And Lionel gave me a poster. And then Tigra was there. And, you know, I spoke to him and his wife. And they were sweethearts, too. And April O'Neil from Ninja Turtles. Yes, I had a chance to talk to April. She was great. And I had a painting of, like, a famous scene from the show. A little taboo, I'll say. And she signed it for me. And it was... You know, I gave her a painting too, and I told them thank you. I'm like, I'm saying thank you for all of us, because if it wasn't for these moments that we watch these shows, because sometimes shows are what saves people's lives. Honestly, shows kept me out of trouble. Cartoons kept me out of trouble. Comics kept me out. They still do. Honestly, I was telling my friend, it's too bad I stopped playing with toys at some point. Did I though? Did I? But anyway, you know, so I told them I wanted to make sure that I let these people know from the bottom of my heart, and I'm also speaking on behalf of you and Louie and everyone else, that we appreciate that they gave us these memories and these characters that don't die in our heads and our hearts, and definitely not our wallets if we're buying a toy. But I really appreciate it, and that's my thing now. Like, I have to give, because I realize when I go to these conventions, it's not about me. I realize life is not about me. It's about giving to other people. And when we realize it's not about ourselves, you know, even with our hurts and our issues, if my hurts and my issues can help another person go through theirs better, you know, then it was worth me going through those hurts and issues, you know. Now I'm getting a little, you know, cerebral, but it all connects. I swear it does.
Yeah, no. It's all good, man. And Louis chimes in. He says that was a core memory of Spike, a.k.a. James Marsters, the actor had for her, the person you were referring to earlier with the story that you were sharing with us.
My
And
oldest.
Someone named Jorel says, "What's up, Eli?"
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Is it Jorel? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you're saying it right.
Hope I'm saying that right, because Jor-El is Kal-El's father from Krypton. I'm a Superman fan through and through. So when I see Jor-El, I'm like, wait a minute, Jor-El's here? Didn't he pass away like 60 times already in the movies and the comics? Whatever, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyway, not to get away from that, but that is some really good stuff, man. Do not get me wrong. And yeah, you're doing an incredible thing, whether you're serving others, you're presenting these works of art to celebrities and guests that are at these conventions that take time out of their schedules, whatever it may be, to talk to the fans and meet with the fans and all that. Excuse me, all that jazz. And that's some incredible stuff. Once again, we're talking with artist and art instructor Eli Ramos here on this episode of And I Quote. Make sure you like and share this video with all of your closest friends, because they're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote. We guarantee it. If you have any questions for Eli, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. If you are joining us live or if you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much for being here. We cannot do this without you. And that is a fact, Jack. With that being said, goodness gracious, we've had so much fun on this show. With that being said, I do want to let you know, Eli, and the person who may be watching or listening to this, that this episode of And I Quote, and every episode of And I Quote, is indeed powered by our good friends over there at Poddecks. Now, Poddecks are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your very own hand. So whether you are a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out Poddecks.com. Use the code Ryan10, that's RYAN10, Ryan10, to get 10% off your first order. You're not going to want to miss out on that opportunity. So kicking things off here with our good friends from Poddecks, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, Eli, what would it be?
So I have a theory on food, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying I wish, because somebody told me today, like I forget to eat. I really do, which isn't a good thing. But so remember the Jetsons where you'd hit like meatloaf, bacon, like that, and then like come out as a pill and swallow it. Now I wish there were pills like that, and I'd be like, I'm full. But if I had to pick an actual food, it would probably have to be, and I'm going to sound like a monster saying this, two things. Either steak, I love steak. Even I don't eat it all the time, I don't. But if I could eat steak every day, but then I'd probably have the gout. Lasagna, but then I'll probably be like fat like Garfield.
Speaking of classic cartoon characters, Garfield is certainly one of them.
My youngest used to love Garfield. Shout out to Roxy. But I don't know. I guess one of those two. I mean, if anything, maybe I could live off Brussels sprouts.
Meet George Jetson. Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting. If they make those pills, I will invest in it. Like, I will put all the monies in that. If you could have a pill that can just give me all the nutrients I need, and I'm good. I don't have to cook. I could paint all day, play video games if I got time, because God knows I don't.
Video games. We'll leave it at that. Louis Cologne says, I will take rice, beans, and chicken for the rest of my life.
That sounds good.
What's up, Louis?
I like white meat. I'm not a big dark meat fan.
Okay. Well, he says rice, beans, and chicken. If anyone else has any thoughts on these questions that we are presenting from our good friends over here at Poddecks.com, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. I'd like to hear your answer to these questions as we go through them. Now, with that being said, Eli, who or where would you haunt if you were a ghost? Since it is spooky season.
Oh, man. Who would I haunt?
Maybe Louis, for instance? No, I'm kidding.
I think I already haunted. Our offices are close together. I think I popped in from time to time like Casper. What would you know what? If I was a ghost, you know what I'd haunt? I'd haunt the movie theaters. Because then I'll watch movies for the rest of my life. I'll just sit there, with like popcorn flying. I don't like popcorn. Probably soda, because I can't get diabetes as a ghost, right? You know what I mean? Look at Slimer. Even though Slimer is not kind of dumpy, but it's okay.
Yeah, what a disgusting blob. I got to take him all myself.
I've been slimed.
He's slime. What happened to you? He slimed me.
And then if movie theaters die out in the future, then I would have to haunt someone's house that owns all the virtual apps, so I can be connected to everything. So I'd have to find an equal services. Yeah, whatever that is. It might be like streaming, like virtual. But yeah, I would want to be connected to entertainment. I would haunt entertainment for the rest of my life.
Boy, that could be taken a couple of different ways. But even so,
Depends on entertainment. Ectoplasm.
So what do you do for a living? I collect spores, moles, and fungus. Anyway, that's a line from Ghostbusters, the first one, if
I know
remember
that
correctly.
one very well.
That's a classic film, by the way. And it is spooky season, so if you're looking for something spooky to watch that's also fun, check out the movie Ghostbusters from 1984. You may like that. I'm not sure.
Well, watch the cartoon show. That was awesome. The cartoon.
Well, they had the real Ghostbusters, and then they had the what was it called? I think it was called Extreme Ghostbusters. Like
it was so Ghostbusters was a cartoon also, but it was from like a 1960s show.
Yeah, that's how they had a bit of a rights thing before the movie.
That's why they called it the real Ghostbusters. And then Extreme Ghostbusters was 2000s, and it was a younger generation, but it was still connected to the older ones because Egon was a teacher. And they had some of the creepiest characters in that show. Like they had like remember the Boogeyman? Not the Boogeyman was creepy for like that show. Remember the Boogeyman from the 80s? But there was like this guy that would haunt kids in the rain. He'll be in the glass, and he'll be like wanting them to bring him in, like he'll hypnotize them. And he had like this weird long. I drew a picture of him. I forgot his name. He was from Extreme Ghostbusters. It was creepy. And then they had like the Cherubites from Hellraiser. They had some creepy. They had some really cool. I mean, and the cool thing, that show was done by the same people that did Men in Black, the series.
That's true. That's a very fine point. I do remember watching the animated series of Men in Black. I did watch a little bit of the Ghostbusters here and there, not a whole lot of it, but I do remember from the time that it was on, whether it be the real Ghostbusters or Extreme Ghostbusters, which was a continuation of the story. But they
both were great shows. Like I got the real Ghostbusters on DVD and Extreme on fan DVD, unfortunately, because for some reason they haven't put it on real DVD yet.
Rights issues. But even so, we can talk more about that later. But with that being said, whatever you do, don't cross the streams. Why? It could be bad. Anyhow, would you rather, Eli, be the best player on a horrible team or the worst player on a great team?
I think the worst player on a great team, because then I can always learn from everyone around me. So yeah, because then if I'm the best player on a bad team, then that can also make me fall into a possibility of a pride issue, thinking I'm better because I'm better, and I would never want to fall into that. I never want to think I'm better than anyone, so I wouldn't even play with that game. But I think I'd probably be the worst, so I can learn, because if I'm interested in that team, I'll get better.
There you go. By the way, Louis chimes in with a fun fact. He says the guy that did the voice for Bill Murray's character on the animated series of Ghostbusters also did the voice for Garfield TV show, but Bill Murray did the voice for the live action movie of Garfield. I love how the things can connect.
Mm-hmm.
I was not aware of that.
And Peter was also voiced at one point towards the end when that guy left. I forget his name. He had an interesting name. I forgot his name, but
I can't remember.
Dave Coulier from Full House.
Yeah, Full House, baby.
Did Peter towards the last seasons of Ghostbusters.
I remember hearing that. That's crazy. Uncle what was his name? Uncle Joey. Thank you.
Uncle
by the way,
Joey,
Louis says I would rather be the worst player on a great team. That's what he would do with the would you rather question. So
there you go. Great minds think alike.
Worst player on a great team.
Louis is a great guy too. He's a captain on the job. He's a great fireman. Good friend.
Nice. Rock on, Louis. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Rock on with that. Here's another good question for you here, Eli. And for those of you who may be watching or listening to this episode of Van Dyke Quote in the comfort of your very own home, would you rather go 30 days without your phone or your entire life without dessert?
Entire life without dessert. I don't need to get plumper. That's easy. That's easy. That was a no-brainer for me. I could still connect and still do social media stuff on this, but do I really need an extra donut? No, I don't. I do not.
I understood. I do. I understood that reference. By the way, what's your favorite? This is a sidebar here before I present to you the next question, which are powered by Poddex. Favorite flavored donut? Is there a favorite out there?
Chocolate glazed, I guess.
Chocolate glazed. Okay.
Yeah, and I
can
hated
rock with
chocolate
that
when I was a kid. I got into that later in life. I used to like vanilla, the cream-filled vanilla ones from Dunkin' Donuts when it used to be full.
Yeah.
Now it's like, and then that's it. And you bite into it. You're trying to find it. I remember when I was a kid, you'd bite into that donut and it'll all like come out all over the place. And you had to like lick it off. Now it's just like, where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Inflation.
Gee whiz, I think this is much more like a game of Where's Waldo?
Yeah.
But
Where's the cream?
Even so, Louis chimes in. He says lava cake, though.
That's a good one too. Or
question mark?
Brownies, or like chocolate chip brownies.
That's another one.
Those are good ones too.
That's another one. By the way, Louis chimes in. He says coconut flake from Dunkin' Donuts.
I've had those. They're like maybe my third though.
Put it at number 3. Okay, put the lime in the coconut. Sorry, I'm thinking of the song.
They put the flake in the coconut.
Put the lime in the coconut. Even so, your next question, which is powered by our good friends over here at poddex.com. What's the cheesiest movie moment or cheesiest movie line you can possibly think of?
Stick around.
From our good friends at Predator. Stick around.
Predator, when he put the stick around.
And by the way, the sound that the knife makes is it's like a cartoon sound. I think stick around.
Stick around. Yeah. He had the best lines though.
But he had the best lines in all those movies.
Like now my least favorite film was Batman and Robin, even though my oldest loves it, but I can't.
The less we say about that movie from 1997, the better.
So like the line, my favorite was, "What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age." You know, like I was in the theater. I was like, oh.
I know. I heard he got paid $1 million per ice puns. He was paid like 25 or 30 million for that movie.
But you know what? Like that was a time I was explaining to my parents. I haven't seen Black Adam yet, but
neither have I. I haven't seen it either.
I'm gonna watch it at some point. But like back in the day, they would they would hire a big actor to be in these movies, thinking that actor will bring audiences to that movie. They realized with Batman, it wasn't so much about the actors; it was about Batman and the characters within. So when they had Arnold in it, nothing against Arnold, but like the whole storyline was focused around him and his cheesiness and whatever. At the end of the day, it didn't work. I think that was when we saw the death, for the most part, of like when let's go to this movie because Brad Pitt's in it or Jolie's in it. They're in it. But I think that was when we would see the decline, people not going to the theaters as much just to see this actor. Because I don't think that really goes on too much anymore. I asked my student who's their favorite actor. A lot of them are like, I don't know. They could tell me their favorite shows and their favorite movies or their favorite characters. They like Robert Downey Jr. because that was Iron Man, but at the same time, they're not following, let's say, Dr. Dolittle. I didn't see it. I'm not crapping on it. I haven't seen it, but you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. And we're at an age nowadays, specifically within the movie business, where big name stars don't sell movies. You just got to go out, see the movie, let the story tell itself, and if you like it, that's great. If you don't like it, well, that's fine too. Because as we all know, movies, and in a lot of ways, the word art, different forms of art are subjective. So there you go. I think your Batman piece is incredible, but the person who may come up to you, a week from now may look at it and think, it's probably not my thing. It's not my style. And I'm like, okay, they're entitled to that because everything is subjective. Let's just leave it at that. And listen, if you like something, you celebrate. If you don't like it, that's it. That's fine. You don't have to like it. Just keep it to yourself. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway,
you don't have to crap on something and put all your energy into crapping on. Even with Batman, I give it respect. A little kid might see Batman and Robin and end up becoming the greatest writer of all time. Who knows? But like, I'm not going to spend a whole podcast or a whole hour saying how much I hate something where I could be spending a whole hour talking about how much I love something or how much I respect something or how much, you know what I mean? I dig something.
Yeah, you know what they say, to each their own. If you like it, that's great. You don't, that's fine too. But listen, at the end of the day, we're all fans in our own very special, unique way. Just respect one another as best you can. Because as our Master Yoda once said, there's do or do not. There is no try.
There is no try.
There is no, exactly. When 900 years, look as good, you will not. Anyhow, we could go all day on certain properties, but we don't have that kind of time. But I do want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Eli Ramos for being our guest on this episode of Van Dyke Quote. Eli, thank you so much for being here, kind sir. Now, the person watching or listening to this, where can they find you on social media and everything that you have coming up? What do you got?
Wow, okay. So as far as events, tomorrow, if you're in Jersey City, there's going to be a trunk or treat on Jefferson Avenue. I'm going to be there. Maybe Batman might be there too. I'll be drawing for the kids and families as well, face painting, all that stuff. On the 29th, we have in Fortress of Solitude, 52 University Avenue, Newark, New Jersey. If you're in the Newark area, Jersey area, you want to drive on down. We're having a Halloween fest there, free comic books, some games. We're going to have a cosplay contest. Batman will make an appearance there too. So that's going to be fun. That's from 9:30 to 5:30. Oh, and the event tomorrow is from 6 to 9 p.m. As far as other events, there'll be more. I'll post them. You could find me on Art of Eli on TikTok, on Art of Eli 1980 on Facebook, Art of Eli 1980 on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Ethos of Eli on YouTube. I started doing animation on there. It's getting views, so I'm like, I might as well. YouTube was just going to be a small thing, but now I'm guessing I'm going to use that too. You could find me also with my boy Charles and Speak on It 12. We do podcasts and shows on everything from comic books, toys, video games. We have guests, all types of good stuff. We go over indie comics. He's a big indie guy. Shout out to my boy Charles and Joel and Jermaine and Irma and the rest connected to that. Also too, can't forget my boy, love my the Robin to my Batman, or Nightwing to my Batman, Matthew, my baby brother. We do Popping Out. You can find that on YouTube. Matthew Ramos Popping Out. You can find that on Instagram and Facebook, popping _ out. You'll see our pictures. You'll know it's us. You'll find pimple videos, so be careful if you look too deep. He named it. But anyway, we do toy stuff. We do some interviews with some toy makers, people in the neighborhood. We try to bring the community to the light when it comes to that. Also too, you could find me on pretty much certain schools I work at. Urban Arts in Hoboken, New City Kids in Jersey City, DCM in Jersey City. These are all great people. They help kids. They look out for their community. Whatco and Kearney in East Newark. And I also do private lessons. My information is up there. Everything on my websites or everything has my phone number. This is my extra appendage. This is my bat phone. It's not red. I know. It had Batman on the back. It fell off. I had to glue it back on. It kept falling off. So yeah, I think that's it. Jeez. I probably forgot something. I know I got some Halloween events in Newark and some schools, but that's a side thing. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
All good, man. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, you can find all those links. Well, most of them anyway. Some of them anyway. Located in the description of this video, whether it's our guest Eli or guests from our other shows. Make sure you check us out on our YouTube channel. Check out the links in the descriptions of each video so you can follow each individual guest on their social media channels so you can keep up with their projects and everything that they have coming down the line, And once again, thank you so much, Eli, for being here. Once again, my name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. Follow me on the Twitters and the Instagrams at RyanRPM5. It says, where am I pointing? Where am I pointing? There it is, right there. On my name tag, follow me there. Links are also located within the description of this video. I want to let you know we got some great events coming your way very soon. Let you know our next movie anniversary watch along. Speaking of movies, Eli, this movie turns a very healthy 10 years young. We're going to be going back to the James Bond cinematic universe with Daniel Craig's Skyfall. Let the sky fall. That's right. Thank you very much. So, I know we have horrible singing voices. We won't torture you anymore with that. I know, exactly.
That's a great movie.
It's a good one, and it turns 10 years young on Wednesday night, November the 9th, 2022 at 8 p.m. EST on Facebook and YouTube, simply at It's Nerd Culture. Make sure you're following us on social media so you get notified of when this goes live, as well as some of the other events we have for you moving forward. Also, I want to take a moment to give a shout out to some really good people. A great event coming up in the month of January presented by Back of the Cereal Box. This is called the Multiverse Fundraiser. It is a free, get this, free virtual convention that you can attend from the comfort of your very own home. Go to the multiversefundraiser.com. Check out all the information there because this is called the Ritter Rally. All the money that is raised and the proceeds are going to go to the John Ritter, John Ritter, Aortic Foundation in the memory of the late great John Ritter, the actor, a great person, a wonderful individual who was very supportive of other people, all the people he worked with during the course of his career. So it's called the Ritter Rally, January 20th through the 22nd, 2023. Go to the multiversefundraiser.com. As you can see on your screen, feel free to take a screenshot of this so you have the information to look back on in a moment here. But those are some of the things that we have coming up for you in the month of January. Once again, it's January 20th through the 22nd, 2023. multi-purpose fundraiser presented by Back of the Cereal Box. And let me tell you, that's going to be one heck of an event for sure. You're not going to want to miss out on that. That was a lot. In the meantime,
Mouthful.
I know, right? In the meantime, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe, like, comment, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get notified of when the new videos go live. And remember, life is better when reading. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Sweet dreams deep placed on me inside my mind. Chance my truth, twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still missed? Who do you want me to be? Am I still missed?
Join author Gary Zeiger for an animatic short film based on his Breakaway Stingray novel series. Watch this animatic short based on the novel Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever at stingrayseries.com. In Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever, Captain Epsilon is putting the band back together to rescue his protege's little sister from the evil conglomerate, while keeping his state-of-the-art warship, Stingray, out of their hands. Watch as the adventure unfolds in the groundbreaking animatic short at stingrayseries.com. Then, join the crew of Stingray with the next novel in the series, Stingray Prophecy, where Captain Epsilon and Dr. Zubre are pivotal players in an ancient prophecy. Can they reunite the people of two worlds before they destroy each other? To learn more, visit stingrayseries.com.
The original intention of the film was just for my personal use, but I thought, with it being such a unique thing, that I'd like to offer it to anybody who wants to see it. On the first visit, Jack took us into his another room, separate room, and there were these brown parcels full of artwork piled up, and he said to me, "You draw like I do." We were in the studio for 5 hours, you know, it was fantastic, and there's this, he's got this desk, and everything he's ever drawn has come from this desk, and then I would just go with the flow, and that's what this film is about. It's just a unique film of him.
He says, "I beat you." He says, "They say we came in under the dead heat." He says, "That's not true because I beat you." And the American said, "Well," he says, "if you like to think so," he says, "but I know the real story." He says, I know I clearly won that one." See? Well, Joe is 6'3", and I was a run, see, from the Lower East Side. And being Joe's partner was an advantage to me because Joe was believable, you know, they would talk to Joe, and the Goodman brothers would get to know him. Martin Goodman owned Marvel at that time. He went to his mother and he says, "Look, Jackie got a job drawing." He says, "They're paying him for it, they're paying him money for drawing." He says, "Suppose I go with Jackie," he says, "and He says, they'll pay me money. He says, I'll draw and they'll pay me money. He said, I'll give the money to you, which we did. We gave it all to our mothers. They called me from NASA. You know, I lived in Long Island. And they say, would you like to come down and draw these guys in training? I swear, this is not a story. And I said, yes, of course, I'd love to come down. And,
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.